Alrighty, what's up guys, and welcome to my video on how to predict sweats. So this is going to be a very short video of me just showing you a few ways that I like to sort of predict what sweats are going to do. So a lot of you might think, oh well, aren't you a sweat? Well, it's a very fine line that I feel like I have drawn, and over the last, I'd say 3 seasons, I have certainly done my best to become the anti-sweat and to basically learn what sweats do and be able to counter it without being one myself. And a lot of people might watch my gameplay and they'll be like, oh, you're a sweat. But a sweat isn't just someone who's good at building and editing. It's someone who has to use building and editing to win any fight. That's just one example of them, but basically there are many ways to predict a sweat. You know, you could usually tell by their combo, you know, star one, no backbling and stuff, that they're going to be a sweat. But there's some other ways to tell. And once you see these people, and once you learn their tactics of, you know, constantly trying to hit clips and things, these are some tactics that you can use to sort of learn their playstyle. And if they fit this very sweaty playstyle, then you're going to be able to very easily predict what they're doing. And yeah, basically in the end, you're going to be able to win more fights with this. At least that's the hope. It works for me, as you can see throughout my channel, and I hope it works for you. So without further ado, we're going to get into some of the tips. So the first thing to know about sweats is they are typically either very, very passive or very, very aggressive. Some of them will either A, stay on height, which the way to solve this is, if you're playing creative, do one of these right here. Pretty self-explanatory, right? But some of the other ones like to basically push you a lot, and I think this is most sweats. They like to push you, they like to try and build and edit so much that they basically are always going to try to have a piece in your box or completely box you and try to take full control of you. And the best way to do this is by not allowing them to do that, so by trying to get away or by trying to basically make your own box and stuff. But even if they're not trying to hit a clip, most sweats will be very, very aggressive and are very used to box fighting. So if you box fight a little bit differently than normal, you might be able to trip them out a little bit. So like I said, they're very aggressive and like to push you. So if they're very aggressive, an easy thing to do is just box up, just like that, simple. Now there's a couple things that they might do here. One, they might jump down on your wall. Now while they're taking your wall, some people will do this. They'll edit on it, and then they'll reset it. And they'll basically try to play with them. You don't need to play with them. What I recommend doing, which your playstyle is probably very different from mine. I have a very unique playstyle, but this definitely works for me. So I hope it also works for you. What I recommend doing is when you edit it, don't quite like try and track them and things. Don't try and do anything too special. Also, don't place anything in your box, and unless you need to, don't be placing ramps and things outside to try to be a little trippy with them. What you can do is edit a wall, and as you edit it, sort of move to the side a little bit to get a little bit out of the way, and then flick on them. So you're going to go bam, bam, just like that. And usually they're not ready for it. Usually they expect you to play very sweatily and play in a different way, and I have a lot of clips of me doing this. And yeah, usually it works pretty dang well to just sort of sit inside my box. If I know they're going to be aggressive, I can just stay here. Bam, just like that. Get a little bit of movement out of the way, just so you're covered up a little bit more, and just shoot. Don't do any extra building and editing, just shoot. Now another thing is maybe you want to do something even more unpredictable. Now normally with box fighting, the person inside the box has the advantage. The person outside the box is trying to take the wall to basically get the advantage to be able to place a piece inside of their box to now control them. But nobody really expects you to run out of the box. And this is one of my favorite plays to make. It's something that honestly people who play with me know that I do a little bit too much, and that's that I like to leave my box. I don't like to sit there and be a little wuss inside of it if I don't have to be. And it's very unpredictable. So what you're going to do is you're going to make, I mean, any edit you want really. You could do this one, or you could do the little corner right here, the little peanut butter edit. I like to do this one personally. Oh, messed up there. I like to do this one. That's probably the edit I'm most familiar with, even though I'm missing it a couple times here. But you're literally just going to edit it. Bam. No need to be doing, you know, oh, I need to box them up. Oh, I need to try and clip them. Oh, no. Box up, and if you want to really, you know, try and outplay them while they're trying to pickaxe your wall, run out, bam, just like that. It's really not that hard, and unless you've missed your shot, I wouldn't recommend doing pretty much any building that entire time, because it's only going to waste time. All you need to be doing is shooting your weapon, and you can really, really predict them this way. Another way to do it is to go up. So a lot of times they're not going to play outside of here. They're going to try to take the top of your box. And what you can do as they're trying to take height, or if they're trying to jump over your box, is simply just double edit out and shoot them. I know that it's not It's not complicated. These sound like really easy things to do, but if you're fighting a Giga Sweat, someone who wearing, white superhero skin with Star Wand and is building and editing so much, and they're trying to take all your pieces, the best thing you can do is leave this room here. So it's going to be harder for them to take your wall if they're focused on taking your wall and you have your gun out pointed at them. Or if they're trying to take this up here and you open it up and drop them down, or if they're not even on top of it, you just get a shot off. And it's very, very easy to sort of take away their only power, which is to be able to try and take all of the pieces around you and box you up and kill you. So if you can stay in your box here, because you know they're going to rush you, you can go like this, run out of your box just like that, or you can even stay in your box if they're on top of it, or maybe even drop them in and shoot them. It's going to be very easy to predict what they're going to do, and this is going to be winning you a lot of fights, hopefully. So now what we're going to be talking about involves SMGs. Now this is going to be the easier way to play outside of a box or inside of a box. Now there is a very fine line that you should be using these SMGs. So the sweats typically want to just be box fighting, just want to be building and editing. And I understand that, they can play like this and shooting your pump and stuff is definitely more fun than spraying an SMG, but you have to remember that an SMG is a legitimate part of the loadout. If you're playing creative or if you're playing in Battle Royale, an SMG is still going to be an integral part of the loadout. Unless you don't want to run one, that's perfectly fine. But if you do, it's going to be very helpful. Now, the thing that you shouldn't be doing is only using this SMG and your pump as a secondary. The pump is the primary weapon, or, I assume you're going to be using the pump, but really whatever shotgun you want. It's just that most people like the pump. But your pump is going to be your primary weapon, the primary powerhouse. An overpowered weapon like the combat SMG, it's no fun to just do this and spray people. Back when I was not as good at the game, this was a genuine strategy, as where people would try to take my wall and I would just spray through it. But I found much easier ways than that. So I guess you could technically do that. It's just not quite as fun and not quite as skillful. So we're going to be using SMGs as a way to sort of counter lots of building. And this doesn't mean spraying, this just means using it when you need to. So a lot of times I'll see people build and edit. They'll be in their box, they'll miss their shot, but then the person will take their wall and then they'll sit here. So let's just say this is my wall, the person breaks it, let's say they're building out a brick, and they place a wall like this. Well, okay, I see this person now sit here and wait. They're going to sit here and wait for them to edit. And I do that sometimes. That's a genuinely valid strategy to try to be able to tune your brain to know when they're going to be shooting. But also, how easy would it be if you didn't have to wait for them to do that every time? It's fun to do sometimes, and it's a good strat to do sometimes, but you can very easily throw them off. If you just spray their wall, and not even break it. You don't have to break the wall. If they take your wall and you go like this, it's going to send them into panic mode and say, okay, now I need to edit, because they're going to do this and either take my wall or they're just going to spray it down and run through. So this is going to basically force them to edit or force them into a different position, once again making you have the advantage in the fight. Now what I recommend doing is, spray through their builds or something or whatever, and don't sit in here and take the wall again. Just do what I did before and basically walk through, but don't just spray them down. Actually switch to your shotgun once it's necessary, because you're not even going to have enough bullets left in your mag to just spray them down. So I recommend, if you're inside a box or outside a box, whatever, and someone takes the wall, don't just wait, right? Sort of try and pressure them with that to force them to edit, and then once you've taken your shot, then spray. If you miss your shot, spray through, but then I would recommend going for a pump again, because if they've already gotten a pump off on you, then your SMG is not going to be doing enough. But if you did get the pump off, there's no reason to wait to get another pump shot off unless it is the valid strategy. If they're right on if you hit this shot right here and they're right on the other side of this wall, then just do that. I know a lot of people don't like to do that, and I know it's not quite as fun to do that, but it really is a lot more valid to do that. Now we're going to talk about playing on the outside of walls. Now this is going to be a little bit trickier than inside the box, because inside the box you have the advantage, but honestly against a sweat it might not be too hard. I know personally for me it isn't. So let's say there's a sweat inside their box, we're going to assume they have a piece, probably a cone honestly in there, so they can have the advantage. I understand why people do that, but I don't really get why people do it so much. But we'll just assume that they have a piece in there, so you're not going to be able to place your own ramp in there and take control, which already is I would rather get the shot off than get the piece off in there, but it is valid to do both. So they're in their box, right? We're going to be trying to take their wall. Now there's a couple things you can do here. Obviously, we can be playing up top and trying to take these, or we can be playing down low. on the side of the wall trying to take the wall, but either way, it's the same thing. What you're not going to want to do is sit here and wait for them to edit and then try and take the wall and then wait for them to edit. What you're going to want to do is sort of predict their movement, sort of outplay them, act like you're a bot. So what I see a lot of sweats doing, and what gets me the kills a lot, which like I was talking about there, is when they're trying to pickaxe my piece, I edit on them, and they're expecting to take the piece. They're expecting to be able to switch back to their shotgun, but they're too focused on taking the wall and not focused enough on just fighting. So what you need to do is basically try and pull out your gun as fast as you possibly can. Sometimes your pickaxe canceling, as to where you can see, if I can get it again, you can see I can hit the wall, but it does no damage to it. So it looks like I'm trying to take the wall, but I actually have no intentions on doing it. Because sweats, while they're not playing the game optimally, also aren't complete idiots. They at least know the game that they're playing. So when I go to pickaxe this wall, they're going to say, oh, he doesn't have his gun out. And it takes time for him to pull his gun out while I already have mine out. Well, I've edited the wall, and I'm already aiming at him. He's still going like this with his pickaxe. So what you're going to want to do is try your best to either A, hit the pickaxe cancel, or B, pickaxe the wall but have your gun out as soon as possible. Be focused on your gunplay first. Building and editing is a very valid way to play the game, obviously in build mode, but it's not going to win you the fight if you can't hit your shots. Focus on hitting your shots first. So when you can try to predict them editing on you, just like that, you're going to be able to take them out a lot easier than if you were focused on getting the piece and then they full box you and things. Another way to do it is by trying to get into their box. You can do the classic ramp strategy here where you try to phase in, but it looks like you're trying to phase in and you can very easily not be. You're just acting like it, so you're jumping up against the wall, but you're not actually getting those full swings off. You're not actually trying, and you're really focused on fighting them over getting the piece and over jumping into their box. So there's just a couple ways for you to fake the sweats out and sort of make them think you're trying to make sweaty plays when really you're a lot more focused on your gunfights than your building. Now, if you're wanting to get into the box, obviously you can do that phasing strategy, but they're going to know what you're doing. What you're going to want to do is basically come from one of these corners. You're going to try and come from one of these sides here. You don't need to be like taking their wall and stuff and then editing on them. And that's valid. You can do that, but it's a lot easier if they have the wall and you can jump into their box behind them and take them out. Once again, it's not the least sweaty play you can make, but in the end, if you want to be beating these sweats, there are certain times where you are going to have to adapt some of the things that they do. So for example, here we're going to be trying to jump in the side of their box, preferably using our SMG. We can use our pickaxe too, but this is going to get us as far out of range as possible, as where if they're editing on us, it's going to be very hard for them to get that precise angle before we've already jumped in the box and are spraying them. Or not necessarily spraying them, but shooting at them. And that is another way too. If they have your wall, there's no reason to sit there and wait for them to edit. Spray through. And you don't just hold down your trigger, because then they're going to pump you in the face. What you're going to want to do, spray through, pull out your pump, and then finish with the SMG. I see a lot of bots saying, oh, well, I can beat this sweat if I just hold down my trigger. Well, yeah, but that's not making you any more skillful than them. You're both just as bad as each other because both of you are spamming. The only difference is they're spamming their builds and you're spamming your SMG. So if you want to get those more tactical shots off and try to get as much damage done as possible, holding down your trigger, even with an overpowered SMG, is not going to be the optimal play there. They're going to be expecting that. Don't let them expect that. Never let them know your next move. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. I'm so happy that you could watch me basically talk about how to predict sweats in box fights, and this is a very scuffed video. Like, I literally just sat down and was like, oh, you know what would be fun is if I made a video talking about fighting sweats in box fights. Because box fights is probably the most common close range fight you're going to have, because the sweats are going to want to push you. If they're not like the sweats that sit up top, they're usually going to be focusing on their shotgun, focusing on their builds and edits, and if you can surround yourself before they can surround you, then you can have the upper hand. Or if they've surrounded themselves and they're the ones in their box, there's certain ways to get in there, and there's certain ways to sort of trip them out so that they think that you're going to do a certain play, when you're actually like planning on doing something completely different, and you're basically playing 4D chess with them. They can very easily mess with you, but if you understand what they're doing, then you can very easily mess with them. Thank you so much for watching. I have a very unique opinion and take on this game and what sweating is versus a lot of other people. So if you want to see more of that, make sure to subscribe to my channel. If you want to see more videos on how to fight sweats without being one, then comment down below that you want to see that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.